This episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast is sponsored by the best-selling book, Halloween Horror Nights Unofficial, The Story and Guide 2017. If you're brave enough to attend Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights, you better believe you'll need a survival guide. Head over to Amazon and pick up your copy now and get the stories behind the scares and never miss a trick.
Hi, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Nikki, and together we are
the Theme Park Duo. We just visited Universal Orlando Resort for the very first time.
So welcome to episode 272 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hello everybody, welcome to this episode. Feels weird to be doing it this way, but, you know, gotta try things new.
Well, you haven't, because this will actually be the second time we've done this, because last week's show would have been like this.
I don't take any notice, so it's new to me. So as you just heard, we have Lee, and we also have Gabe and Nikki from Theme Park Duo podcast. Hello everybody.
Hello.
What's up, Internet?
Hey!
Very well done. You
I
did?
had to try it. I have the opportunity and the platform.
Without a doubt,
Absolutely.
as I said to you before we started recording, that is the thing that everyone has to do now. Nikki, would you like to have a go as well?
Oh, I wasn't ready for this.
We're on the spot now.
Do I have to say it like Gabe said it all
You
in
can
10?
say it however you want to say it.
What's up, Internet?
There we go.
Hey.
Yeah, super cutesy.
Darren, you're out of a job.
Oh, don't say that.
No, he knows I don't mean it. So Nikki and Gabe, I guess we're just going to launch straight into it. May as well. Can you tell us what has been your theme park experience prior to visiting Universal Orlando Resort?
Well, mostly Southern California theme parks. So Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, our Universal Studios over here, a nice little park called Knott's Berry Farm.
And Six Flags.
And Six Flags.
Magic Mountain, to be
Mhm.
specific.
Awesome.
And then,
I really want to go to Six
yes,
Flags
the-
Magic Mountain at some point.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
It's one of those places we grew up with, and it's almost like a rite of passage for kids to go and do those roller coasters because it's considered like, once you do that, then you're a grown-up.
Oh, hang on. If you're a grown-up once you go there, I don't think I want to go anymore.
Oh, no, that's a good point,
No.
actually.
Child at heart as always.
Then you just go back to
Absolutely.
Disneyland after because it's like 30 minutes away.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So out
Yeah.
of those parks that that's kind of your experience, which one would you class as your home park? And remember which podcast you're on.
Honestly, like if I were to be 100% honest, as much as I'm a Disney person, I would consider Knott's Berry Farm as my home park.
Yeah.
Cool.
Me particularly.
And I would have to say I love Disneyland, and I'd say I'd pick Disneyland, but as a kid, the one that I went to the most was Universal Studios.
Oh, you brown noser.
It's true. Who just cried when they went on ET in
You
Florida?
did.
Aw.
I cry when I go on ET
Yeah, but not
as
for
well,
that
but I think it's a
reason.
different reason.
Yeah, a little bit of a different reason.
She cries because we're dragging her on and kicking and
Not
screaming.
this one. It's that one at the end. No, that scares me. Anyway, moving on.
Yes. So, as I said, this is your first pilgrimage to the East Coast, as it were. So, I think we'll
Exciting,
take.
that.
I know. Wish I could go
I know.
back and experience my first visit to Orlando again.
I know.
It's become kind of not jaded, but it's not the same anymore after that first time.
This is why we need to go and visit the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also a reason to go back.
Well,
there.
this was our first trip to Universal Orlando.
Okay.
We didn't step foot there. We went to Orlando for a honeymoon for Walt Disney World, and that was like that's like a whole separate episode.
Mhm.
Like that could be talked about forever and on a different show because of the name. But this was our first time stepping on any Universal Orlando property ever. So it was a really interesting experience just seeing the juxtaposition between the different resorts and how they kind of operate.
I need to ask you a question then. When was your honeymoon?
Last year.
Yes, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Can I ask the question, why did you not
Congratulations.
go to Universal Orlando?
One,
they were on honeymoon.
money.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, but then you sack Disney off and go to Universal.
We tried to maneuver into adding that onto our honeymoon, but it just wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
Budget, and then also Nikki was very specific in saying, I want days where we're doing nothing. So, which means pool time.
I like
really.
pool time.
Fair enough.
We've never had one of those when we've been to Orlando. I don't even know what that is. Literally, we have never had one of those days.
Because we have actually. When we came in Hurricane G, you shut the whole place down, but you slept because you were ill the whole time. So I had a day of nothing.
Anyway, this isn't about our first trip to Universal Orlando. This is about this. I think we'll break it down into sections of the resort.
Good idea.
So, I mean, first off, did you stay on site when you were there?
We sure did. We stayed at the Cabana Bay.
Ah,
lovely.
Lots of people's favourite on-site hotel. What did you think of it?
I really, really enjoyed it, honestly. I didn't really quite know what to expect. I knew that it was supposed to be kind of like this kitschy kind of style place, and it ended up fitting kind of right in our wheelhouse of taste. Like, we really enjoyed it. And we also had a room that overlooked Volcano Bay,
awesome,
which was
fabulous.
The best view you could possibly ask for.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we loved it.
Yeah, it was really cute and just real retro, and they have a lazy river, so
That was a must for Nikki.
So we bought a tube and we floated around the lazy river the day we got there.
Pretty much.
So, yeah.
Can you see Volcano Bay from the lazy river?
Yes, you can.
Oh, well,
You
that's
see the
awesome.
volcano and everything.
Because then you don't need to spend the extra ticket to go into Volcano Bay. You just go around the lazy river at Cabana Bay while looking at the volcano.
And you
Exactly.
and you can see the lines from our lazy river as well.
There's something I should, if you don't mind me just jumping in with something. Something I should do. Something I was reading. I read today, and I read a couple of weeks ago from somebody different. I can't remember who it was. Somebody who's been staying there with a Volcano Bay view, and they'd complained that they could hear the drums.
Oh, where did
Yes,
it
Yes,
was?
100%.
at like 7 in the morning.
7 in the
Yes, there's
morning.
no sleeping in.
It was
which-
David Fuller in the Producers Club.
Yes, that was right. And I'd read it for somebody different a couple of weeks
You
ago
woke
as
up,
well.
Nikki.
It woke me up for sure.
I'm a deep sleeper, so I didn't wake up for nothing. But Nikki woke up a few times because of those drums.
And that was so our trip was so like jam packed. We went to Halloween Horror Nights the day we got there.
Wow.
And then we were trying to sleep in a little bit and then just get a kind of a late start to the parks that day. So I didn't get to sleep in because of the drums.
Because you hear dump, dump, dump. It's like, okay, thanks for the alarm clock.
So
But I didn't request it for this
No.
time, thank you.
So grumpy Nikki that day.
Yeah, you
I
ring
would
up
guess.
guest services and be like, I didn't order a wake-up call this morning. Say, I'm sorry, sir, what are you talking about?
Yes.
What was the thoughts behind staying at Cabana Bay rather than, say, the Hard Rock or the Royal Pacific or the Portofino Bay?
So it's quite a long story, and just to like kind of sum it up, our trip was supposed to be a lot longer, ended up getting a lot shorter, and to save money, because we knew that Cabana Bay was one of the more value resorts, we ended up choosing that because we knew that our stay was going to be rather short, and we're not going to spend that much time in the hotel.
Makes sense.
So we'd much rather spend our money elsewhere than putting a lot into like the hotel when we're not even going to really be there.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
Completely
So-
understand that one.
The original hotel we were going to be at was the Lowe's Royal Pacific.
Oh,
That was the one we were going to be at, and then when things changed, we just went to Cabana Bay.
Yeah.
the Royal Pacific is gorgeous.
I was going to say, I was saying it's nice. I walked through the lobby both ways.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot.
about 8 times. And sort of saw the room for maybe half an hour before lights out and half an hour getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it seemed nice.
It was lovely to walk through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
Pretty much whenever we do a vacation like that, that's the first thing in our mind is how long are we going to be in the hotel and how
Exactly.
much money do we really want to pay for it if
Yeah.
we're barely going to be there.
The only draw to the more expensive hotels was that you get the express with your
Yeah.
tickets.
That's why we do
But-
one night.
Yeah.
We usually stay at a cheaper off-site hotel and then do 1 or maybe 2 nights on site just to take advantage, like you say, getting the express
Yeah.
pass.
You just need
That's
clean
actually a
and
really good
comfortable.
idea.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on, let's step into City Walk, shall we? Did you eat in City Walk? And if you did, or even if you didn't, what were your thoughts of the area?
We ate all over City Walk. We
Cool.
The Hard Rock and Cowfish.
Cowfish.
Ooh.
And we had a shake at Toothsomes.
Yes.
I have to ask,
So-
what did you
Lovely.
think of Cowfish?
We liked it.
We really liked it. Our waitress was extremely nice, was giving really good suggestions
Mhm.
about what we should get, what we shouldn't get, in her opinion. and the burger I had was phenomenal, and you had sushi.
I just realized Gabe ate cow and I ate fish.
Literally, yeah. And your sushi you said was really, really good.
It was great.
The only one complaint, if I have one, is that the odor in the restaurant is a bit odd because it's a sushi restaurant mixed with meat.
Yes.
So both those things cooking together kind of creates an odd smell. But if you could get past that, I think the food's pretty good.
I'm glad to hear that you had a good experience, because it seems to be that it must just be us, because when we went, we had
terrible experience.
Horrendous experience. It was
We just
really
like the service?
terrible. It was everything.
Service, food, wait time, everything.
That stinks. Well, I mean, like when
really
we got there, it was like right when they opened, so there was nobody in there. We were the only ones in there at that point, so I feel like we were the focus.
I would try it again.
Yeah, there's places that I want to try above that, to be honest, when we come back. But anyway.
Yes. Like toothsome.
At least just like anywhere else.
Yeah. But anyway, yes.
Sorry, guys. Yes.
Well, we enjoyed it. Maybe it's improved over the years.
No, that's good.
Maybe.
It's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Different management, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Different wait staff.
Yeah. And we had Hard Rock, which we thought that was fantastic.
We thought it was really good, but they were just really busy.
They were slammed.
We tried to eat at Toothsome's, but the wait there was like
2.5
hours. So
wow.
Hard Rock was like 20 minutes. So it was still packed though. So the only thing is they forgot, we were there with a friend and his daughter, and they forgot her food.
Oh.
So we had finished our meal before she got hers. She was like eating her dad's mashed potatoes.
No, that's not good.
That was the only thing. I mean, it was good.
I enjoyed the food. It was
Hard
fantastic.
Rock. You know, I mean, usually we try to go to places we haven't been to before, but it was just a matter of the wait time.
Yeah.
And Toothsome's was just, I think at that point I was just so full that there was barely any room left for any type of food at all, let alone a very rich shake that happened to have a brownie on the top of it.
Whoa. I'd have made room for that.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a little better, but it was still freaking good.
Yeah, I liked my coffee shake, but it was just a bit rich. Like even the whipped cream at the top was like too much. I don't know. It was like ice cream. It was like extra ice cream. It was so rich.
Wow.
I think the problem with Toothsome is because they've put so much effort into what it looks like from the outside that anybody walking into City Walk, that is the first thing you're going to see, and it's like, I want to go there.
Yep.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all. But I'm desperate to try it.
So the dinner. So are we too.
Yeah. That's pretty much. So if you want to try, just make sure you show up a little early and don't go right after the parks close.
Oh yeah, literally everyone poured
slammed
out of the parks, and that's when we tried to get a seat. But we did like it, and they have a walk around characters that we really loved. There was like the steampunk robot that was walking around.
Yeah, our friend's daughter was not having it.
No,
she was like, "Get away from me! I don't know you. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me." Like stranger danger alert, big time with a robot.
Did you do anything else when you were on City Walk then?
I
know there's not an awful lot to do, but you need to. Did you do the mini golf?
No,
we took some time to look at it because I knew that was something I wanted to do, but I knew just from our schedule it was not going to happen.
Yeah,
so I know that's some. Yeah, it's just we'll do it next time. It was one of those things where like I could live to wait to do it next time.
Yeah.
But it's something that's on my list.
Yeah,
mini golf's not an excuse to go back, but it's definitely it's awesome.
Any excuse is a good one.
You don't need an excuse.
We have money, we have time. Let's go right now.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's move into the parks. We're going to leave the interesting one, I think, till last because that's what I'm interested after a little conversation you and I have had, Gabe, already. But let's head into Universal Studios Florida. So overall, having set foot into it for the very first time, what do you think?
Well, our first time walking in was Halloween Horror Nights. So I actually like that. I got my bearings a little bit. So then the next day when we went during the day, I kind of had a good sense of where things were. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like as a theme park, I'm not sure.
The layout is not what I was expecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I did find it rather nice to have more space than we do because at Hollywood we really don't have much space at all.
You feel very
Like,
claustrophobic.
Really
in
claustrophobic,
Hollywood.
especially if there's some type of construction like they have going on right now. Like
Yeah.
there's no room. And over there's plenty of room, which is so nice.
So it was nice that it was so spacious.
And I like that there's a better variety of attractions that you actually have there as opposed to us where it's just a handful of things to do. And then the only difference being is that we have the tram. But I really didn't miss the tram at all.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it. Like I enjoyed the other offerings. And then if there was a ride that we had that was similar, sometimes it has some differences, like the Mummy or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that Universal Studios Florida was quite refreshing, especially for somebody who's so used to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how did you find it sort of riding rides that you you already have an affinity with, like E.T. and T2. T2's not Hollywood anymore, is it? No.
It's not
No,
Universal.
it's been
Not
gone for a
Orlando
long
either.
Yeah,
time.
but it was when they went.
Well,
No,
we went on the day after it closed.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we went on the 9th, it closed on the 8th.
The sign was already down. It was very sad.
Wow, they move so fast.
I would be gutted.
Yeah, it was rough because I personally, side note, I love T2. I'm in the same boat as you guys where I think it was probably the best 3D attraction I've ever seen in my life.
Without a doubt.
And I was so sad when it closed here. And knowing that I had the opportunity to go on it over here, or at least over in Orlando, I got really excited. But the more I heard it from multiple people, the more I understood that it sounded like it was not really what it was used to be. Like it was almost like a shadow of its former self because certain things weren't working. And I personally made the choice, like I'd rather remember it the way I remember it now than see it as a shadow of itself. So we made the choice not to go see it, but we did have friends who went specifically to go do that, and they got to watch it with Gary Goddard, which is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Gary's such a great guy.
Yeah, so I was a little jealous about that, but but I made the conscious decision not to see it. So when we did go to the park, the signs were already down and stuff. So that was pretty sad.
I think the interesting thing to do with T2 is Universal have finally realised that there is a fan base out there for the parks and stuff. And we noticed, we were watching one of Tim Tracker's videos last week, and they actively encouraged and told people to video and take pictures and document it as much as they could. And I'm glad they finally realised that there are people out there that love those attractions as much as the Disney fans love the Disney attractions.
Well, do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't actually put out, like, started doing this themselves and put out DVDs for past rides that people still talk about and love.
Yeah, the Back to the Future ones on the box set, I do believe.
Right.
Yeah, it was on the Back to the Future video is actually on the single disc one because I have both, and the only reason why I have both is because I wanted the ride. So it's on the single disc one.
Because then, like, I think, but Shrek,
Nobody needs to see that again.
we watched that on DVD over here before we experienced the ride. It's what if you want to call it a ride? What that show that's at the front of the park
Yeah.
that I have on good authority won't be there much longer.
Ours is gone in Hollywood, so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It was fun to see some rides that were, at least for us, because we have like a sentimental attachment to certain kinds, but having something that's a little different, which was kind of interesting to see. Kind of like we had mentioned, the Mummy. The Mummy is just a little different than ours, and I really enjoyed having something that was similar and familiar, but very different. And then also the sentimental attachment to something like E.T. for Nikki, which was like a religious experience, to be honest.
I didn't go that far, but I was so sad when
You
it
were
closed.
kneeling and praying in front of the attraction.
Do you know, I think I saw some YouTube footage of that.
All praise E.T.
I was just so sad when it closed over here in California, and it's like 10 years.
You cried in the rain.
10 years I've been waiting to ride it. And we rode it twice, and we took all the photo ups, and it made me so happy.
Yeah, we rode in the front. You had E.T. in front of you.
Cool.
You could not be happier.
That was like a priority. ET needed to be in my basket.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that thing. It's like if we went over to Japan, it'd be like riding Jaws would be the same experience for us.
You'd have
nice.
to fight me to get me off it.
Speaking of
missed
Jaws, what did you think of Diagon Alley? That's what
That
the place
was so bad.
No, it wasn't. It exactly makes sense.
That was like a stab for a lot of people, I'm sure. This was kind of the main thing for us when we were planning our trip. Like, this was a big part of the reason why we wanted to go. And for Nikki, this is much bigger.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how big Potter fans are you? 10 being like crazy tattooed people with Harry Potter tattoos, and 1 not being.
So
no tattoos, but it's a 10.
Nikki's a 10. For me, I have no attachment to the books, but I have attachments to the movies.
Right.
Okay.
Because I'm just a movie person. So if I were to say the movies, I'd probably say like a 7 or an 8 with the movies because I just enjoy them that much. For me, it's just about like the visuals and the John Williams music and just all of it together. Just is so emotional. And when we went in, it was during Halloween Horror Nights, and I think you were a little shocked because for me, I'm like, we're at Halloween Horror Nights, only Halloween Horror Nights stuff. We have to focus. But I was like, let's go to Diagon Alley. And so you got kind of like overwhelmed and you were like, oh my God, like waving at her face. And we went through and kind of weren't talking. We were just kind of looking at each other and looking at everything and taking it all in. And we went over to the test seats because the whole story to the entire visit was me worrying I wouldn't fit into things, which I fit in everything, which was not a problem.
Good.
But I fit, and then we were just ecstatic, and then the dragon breathed fire, and then we both broke down in tears.
Well, it was
That's what I was
first.
hoping for.
I broke down first. Like, you turned around and I was like bawling.
and then I started bawling.
Sounds familiar.
It was just so emotional and so overwhelming, and we were just It was just a really incredible magical experience that I haven't had anywhere else.
People find it weird. Like, until very recently, a lot of people I work with didn't know that I did this podcast. And then they discovered it. Yeah, I didn't like to share it. I know what would happen at work. I know what happened when people found out. And they were sat listening to it in the room while I was working. It was quite embarrassing. And then it was just after Diagon Alley had opened, actually. And we did a roundtable discussion on it. I think it was Darren and Gregory and someone else. And Gregory had said, oh yeah, when I walked in, I teared up and I was crying. And I remember someone in our room going, did he just say he cried walking into a theme park? And I was like, you just don't get it, do you?
They don't get it.
They don't get it. And the same thing happened for me when I was in when I went to Magic Kingdom for the first time, because, as a kid growing up in Southern California, you have Disneyland right in my backyard, and I've been to that, and you dream of going to the Magic Kingdom. You dream of going to Florida. And it was a 24-year waiting period till I actually got to do it. And when I did it, I teared up, and Nikki made fun of me.
I did not make funny, yeah. Well, Diagon Alley is the first thing that's ever made me cry. Hogsmeade, like, I welled up, like my eyes were filled with water, but nothing. That dragon breathing fire.
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting to cry.
I wasn't either. I was like, nothing's ever made me cry.
You cried the day before when I mentioned it.
I did. Oh, I did do that, didn't I?
Yeah.
We were at Disneyland.
We were at Disneyland, and this is what I did. We were just talking in line, relaxing, and then there was a lull in the conversation. I just turned at her and looked her in the eyes. I'm like, Nikki, in 3 days, we're going to be in Diagon Alley.
No,
and then her eyes started.
The day before.
It was like 2 days before.
No. Did you not remember that we did all?
I have no concept of time.
Okay. No, I have to tell
Regardless,
the story now.
You still teared up.
No, so Saturday, our flight was leaving at 11:30 from LAX. So we had all day. Yeah, so we had 11:30 at night. So we had all day. So we went to Disneyland, and then we went to California Adventure, which is right across the way. Then we went to Knott's Berry Farm. Then we went to Universal Studios.
Wow.
And then we hopped on the plane.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And so by the time that we landed, it was already the next day at 7:30 in the morning, and then we're at City Walk for Orlando.
Wow.
I doff my hat to you, sir.
Yes.
And madam.
So the experience of going to Diagon Alley was just incredible, and we spent a lot of time there. Yeah. We made sure that we spent a lot of time there to really explore the nooks and crannies, because that's kind of what it is.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I have a question for you guys. I want to know if I'm the only one that it bothers. Does it bother you when someone's talking about like Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade and they're like, Harry Potter Land?
Yes.
Okay, it's not just me. It bothers me so much. I'm like, they're like, Gabe, you're the resident theme park person. What do you like, Harry Potter Land? I'm like, you mean the Wizarding World? Yes, I love it.
The problem is Universal
stupid.
didn't help themselves because when they advertised Hogsmeade opening, they were using this. The term was a theme park within a theme park. And it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, that
So they
makes
haven't
sense.
helped themselves, but yes, it cripples me. It makes me want to strangle people.
Let's say when people say, "Oh, we're going to Orlando. I can't wait to go to Disneyland," and I have to grip my teeth so I don't say wrong coast. Wrong coast.
You know what else bothers me is when I see videos online where it says it's like 10 facts you didn't know about Walt Disney World, and half the pictures are from Disneyland.
Yes.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life?
That's when you know you're a theme park nerd.
Yes. It's not just me
Exactly.
that growls at people. Well, in my head usually, but sometimes it comes out.
Yeah, it drives me up the wall.
And then that's why they look at you.
Yes. Well, they don't look for long.
Am I allowed to call Star Wars Land though, or
Yeah,
do I
yeah.
have to say Galaxy's Edge?
You have
You're
to call
allowed
it
to say Star Wars
Samsung.
Land because they were calling it Star Wars Land.
Yeah,
You have to call
I'm-
it Samsung's Galaxy Edge.
Yeah. I can't call it Galaxy's Edge. It's always going to come out as Star Wars.
Yeah,
There better
it's
be
terrible.
really good cell reception there.
There won't.
Yeah. I like it.
There won't be because everyone's going to be on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh,
Quick question for you. What type of butterbeer do you have out in Hollywood?
Frozen and regular.
Frozen and frozen
And then
and
hot. Hot only during winter season.
Right.
Air quotes winter. We don't
Yeah.
have one of those.
yeah.
Do you have
Essentially December and
Yeah.
November, and that's it.
the ice cream over there or not?
No, but we tried it when we were
ate
there.
all of it in my face.
It was
What
so
did you-
good.
What did you think?
We loved it.
I would have shoved more in my face if I had the chance.
Gabe tried fishy green ale.
I did.
No. I actually got talked out of it by a team member.
Well, my friend, my team member,
Yes.
my friend who was visiting there, he's like, you have to try it. You have to tell me if you like it because my girlfriend doesn't like it, but I love it. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. I want to try at least everything that's different that I don't have at Hollywood. So I got it, and at first I was like, this is really odd. I don't know if I like this. And it took a few more sips, and I'm like, okay, wait, no. I like this. This is good. I could just do one, but I don't need 10 of them, but this is good.
I didn't like it, but I liked the bubbly things.
Boba balls at the
well,
bottom.
they were almost like
Boba pearls.
yeah, they were almost like boba, but they weren't chewy because I don't like chewy boba. They like popped in your mouth. I
Like
like
fish eggs.
We've had the-
Get it? Fishy green ale.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yes. We went in for lunch one day and I went to order it and the guy went, "Are you sure?" I was like, well, yeah, I want to try it. And he went, "I wouldn't if I was you. It's nasty." And he actually talked me out of it, which I'm a bit gutted.
Was that when you got
actually,
the tongue tying?
lemon squash, whatever
Yeah.
it was? That was lovely, mind.
Now, just keeping on the beverage thing, do you have pumpkin juice then in Hollywood?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes.
Which do you prefer, pumpkin juice or butterbeer?
Butterbeer.
Butterbeer.
Wrong
A lot
answer.
of people love the pumpkin.
I
juice,
answered
though.
that like it was like, how dare you ask me?
Oh, you just upset someone.
Right. I'm going then. See you later. I'm team pumpkin juice, I'm afraid.
A lot
Pumpkin
of
juice
people
is,
are.
but I like
Yeah.
pumpkin juice is the thing.
Oh,
It's
it's
like I
lovely.
like both, but if someone were to say like you have one left to drink before you die, I would choose butterbeer.
Pumpkin juice.
Which is your favourite then? Hot frozen
Out of the
or-
butterbeers?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
Oh, regular
Regular.
butterbeer, hands down. Cold.
It's horrible.
They called it cold butterbeer when we were there, so cold butterbeer.
Mm. So that's the thing, though. I think the problem with those is the last time we were out, we noticed that the pumpkin juice. I'm obsessed with that. The butterbeer
The
was
regular.
different.
Yeah. They've watered it down, and I've had the conversation with quite a few people. When we went out last, Tracy was a bit under the weather, and she thought
Just
it was
a bit.
that it didn't taste right. And our oldest was like, no, it's definitely not the same. And then Rick West listened to the show and got in touch with me, and he went, it's funny you should say that because we've thought the same the last few times we've been out. And then somebody else I know messaged me and went, yes, we've noticed that as well. So it seems like they have watered it down a bit.
By the way, my friend that I mentioned that was visiting was Request.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, I know
Very
Rick was there.
good.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that. So he was the one who was like, you have to try fishy green ale and
Yes.
texted me immediately. So that was him.
Yeah, I saw Rick was there for the closing of Terminator 2, actually, no.
Yeah.
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 However-
and you know what? I'm not going to lie. I did think that when I drank it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like we were sitting there and I took a picture of Nikki with her like fun mustache and stuff. And as I was drinking, I was like, this tastes a bit different than ours a little bit.
Mm.
It doesn't taste as butterscotchy as ours did.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't notice, but I have a terrible palate.
So here's a tip then. If you ever come over here and do the studio tour, do not have the butterbeer. I don't
Is it
know.
not the same?
I don't know who thought that was butterbeer. It's like they've dipped a cup in pond water and put shaving foam on the top.
I thought you were going to say something
vile.
else.
Well, it tastes like that.
It's like rusty toilet water.
Put it this way. There are more wet bins in that area than dry bins. What does that say?
Yeah. They actually have bins that are like trash cans that are there specifically to put your butterbeer in it.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow,
it's
that's not good.
extortionate as well.
And it is expensive as well, yeah.
Vile.
It's a public service announcement, really.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Ugh.
Anything else you want to say about the studios?
The studios.
The few of the rides, I loved Men in Black.
Yes.
Oh, Men in Black.
Yeah.
Men in Black was like the sleeper hit for me.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Like I was so happy. I did not expect it to be what it was. Just the entire experience of going in, and it's like this cheesy, like little show. It's going to start, and then all of a sudden you're in MIB. Oh my God, it was awesome.
That was one of the few ones where I was like, we have to ride this more than once.
Oh my God, I had a blast on that thing. That was awesome.
The problem is, if you have even the tiniest competitive streak, that ride will bring it out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I won so hard the first time because I was sitting next to a person who worked there. And so I was shooting everything she shot. And I had the second highest score in the car.
Next to her.
Good
I had
technique.
like 2,000 because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. The second time around, I did better. But
Yeah.
But man, that was a sleeper hit for me. That was fantastic. I liked Rip Red Rocket more than you did.
I did not like it at all. It gave me a headache. And the picture's actually the funniest thing ever because all you see is just hair in my face. I look like Cousin It from the Addams
And my
Family.
hands are up and I'm screaming because I was rapping along with my music choice.
Yeah.
Which was?
It was Insane in the Membrane.
Oh,
Awesome.
excellent
Cypress
song.
Hill.
Nikki, can you remember what you
That's by
chose?
Cypress Hill.
I don't remember.
You
I was
have
in
an issue
pain.
with like timed choices because like at that point you get like I don't know no yes no and then it
I panic chose and then I just didn't even listen to the song because my head hurt.
Yeah.
You don't get an awful lot of time, to be honest.
No, you don't.
no it was quite fast so
So I loved the first drop and then that was it.
that was the most insane feeling, that loop that they had there.
Yeah.
It was an odd loop, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did not.
It's just,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a bit of an eyesore in the park, really.
It is.
Mm.
And it's
It
got
is. It doesn't really fit with anything.
Not at all.
And it has the worst queue line ever.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. We had Express when we wrote it, and the Express barely did anything for
Yeah,
us.
it's awful.
So, and then they were yelling at us about metal in our pockets and crap.
Yeah.
You had
can
crap
see
in
why,
your
though.
pockets.
Doesn't everybody carry crap in their pockets?
I didn't think they'd set off the detectors, though.
Depends on what you're eating, I guess.
There's plenty of iron in your diet. That was laid on a plate, that one. Oh, no. Where are we going?
Oh, and speaking of crap, we also did Jimmy Fallon. We did the Race Street New
See,
York.
that seems
I'm
to split
hearing
people.
that.
I'm hearing there's people you either love it or hate it.
So we absolutely loved everything up to the actual ride. Like
Yeah.
I thought the Ragtime Gals and hashtag the Panda and the idea of not actually have to waiting in a physical line was phenomenal. I thought that was awesome.
I was mad that we had to wait at all because we had Express. Like I like sure you don't have to, do the comeback,
like the timed system.
Yes.
but you still end
Have
up
to
waiting
wait.
like 30, 40 minutes anyway.
So the
like
Express
wow.
doesn't help out that much with that.
It just it blew my mind. I didn't understand it, and I knew that I was waiting all that time, even with Express, for something I wasn't really excited to see. So I was just kind of grumpy the whole time.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I guess Express just takes you to the internal waiting.
They're all internal
Pen.
waiting
Yeah.
pens.
Well, no, but rather than like you'd normally
I don't really
I
see how
assume you'd stand
Express
in a-
can work on that
in a
ride, to be
queue
honest. How does Express work on a queueless ride system?
Exactly. I mean,
It just doesn't give you a comeback time. Like, so like someone else walking up at the same time,
All
they
right.
could say, "Okay, come back in 2 hours."
Well,
You
can
get
walk
to walk
straight
right in.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
in theory, it should, especially because it's Express, they should just put you on the next thing and incorporate you into the next ride system so you don't have to wait in the room at all.
Yeah.
But you do have to wait the entire time. But at least we got to see Ragtime Gals and we got to see hashtag the Panda.
Yeah.
while we waited. And I enjoyed the safety spiel, which the Roots rap
Yes.
to, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The ride itself, I mean, is pretty much exactly what you would expect from a Universal attraction
a scream.
altogether. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the jokes and a lot of the gags they've used in The Simpsons before in the Simpsons ride.
Right.
So for me, it was just kind of, it's a thing. I had an entertaining time, I guess. It's not that bad. But I'm not that familiar with a lot of those Jimmy Fallon characters to the point where I thought it was hysterically funny.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention it, but Escape from Gringotts, we really, really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't listening to the crew at UUOP every week make you wish that you were actually at Universal Orlando Resort? Well, stop wishing and start doing. Mouse and Muggle Travel Company is the perfect place to begin. Their team of concierge-level travel planners will help you every step of the way. And for you Muggles who also love the mouse, their team of experts specialize in Disney destinations too. And the best part of all, their services are free to you. So, if you're ready to plan your next Disney or Universal vacation, let Mouse and Muggle Travel Company do all the work for you. Just go to mouseandmuggle.com and fill out a no-obligation quote request. Or send an email to info@mouseandmuggle.com. And remember, whether you're a mouse or a muggle, Mouse and Muggle Travel Company can help make your next vacation simply magical.
So we know that you guys listen to the show, you poor things, and and I guess you heard us being a little bit critical about the lack of love, not our lack of love, the lack of love Universal have shown Islands of Adventure recently.
Well, since it opened, really.
Yeah. So taking that into consideration, what were your thoughts on Islands of Adventure?
I was completely blown away by Islands of Adventure because after listening to you guys, I was like, oh man, it sounds like it's a park that really needs some loving and I'm going to notice. And from somebody who hasn't gone to the park before, I didn't notice it that much, but I completely fell in love with what it was immediately.
Yeah.
We took the Hogwarts Express over. We got off, we went into Hogsmeade, but then as soon as we left, we went to the Lost Continent, and I was like, oh my god, this is really cool. Through Seuss Landing, which I thought was unbelievably cute, although it needed a paint job, I thought it was really cute, really fun. We saw like this dance party with all these characters, and they were moving and jiving and stuff, and that was fun. And through to Port of Entry, which Port of Entry I think was, out of all of it, my favorite.
Yes, good.
The music was incredible. The visuals, it was almost like the way that I think I said it was like Port of Entry feels like a much bigger version of Magic Kingdom's Adventureland in a way.
Yeah.
Like it feels very similar, but I like this a lot more. And Port of Entry doesn't have any rides.
Oh.
But I just really, really enjoyed the look and the feel of that area. And the Marvel Superhero Island, which was
Your favorite.
outside of Port of Entry, was my favorite because
Yeah.
I grew up with comic books because my dad's a major comic book nerd. So these are the versions that I grew up knowing, and just seeing them turned me into a kid again.
So you had me at Port of Entry, so
Yeah, I think just that, like us going in with fresh eyes, that we kind of just saw it for what it was, for like the first time going, and so a lot of those things that you would notice over time, we didn't really notice, and I appreciated how it was like. Maybe that was my thing with the Universal Studios side that I didn't like. Is it felt like just a hodgepodge of just these places you walk through, and Islands of Adventure was more like distinguishable areas.
Yeah, and it's been thought out a lot better than. I mean, you've got to look. The unfortunate thing with the studios is it's been there for 27 years now, and it's obviously evolved over that 27
years. It
years.
didn't start off as a working studio as well.
No,
that wasn't.
It did kind of, but it was always a theme park.
Yeah.
It was a theme park first. But the problem with Islands of Adventure is that when it was the park that made me fall in love with Universal.
Oh, yeah.
It blew us away the first time we went in. The problem is, other than Skull Island and Hogsmeade, it is the same park I walked into 13 years ago.
Yeah. And for you, it hasn't aged well.
I think it has. It's just
parts of it need a little bit of TLC.
It's just the same thing. It hasn't really evolved at all.
Yeah.
They've done very, very little to it. Obviously, they've retracked the Hulk, but the Hulk it's a coaster. It's okay. It's not. I think what they've done to it actually lessened it as an experience than what it was.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm trying to convince you now that it wasn't as good as you thought it was. Hands Adventure's great, but it's not what you thought it was.
I do feel that money spent on Hulk could have been spent better elsewhere.
Yeah, but as I've
we
been
don't know what the big
told,
plan is.
I know what the big plan is. As I've berated the fact that I don't understand why they spent that money redoing the Hulk. Yeah, I do, because if they didn't, Disney can walk in and go, "You're not keeping this land up to the standards that we expect. We'll have that license back, thank you."
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I don't know how you guys feel, and Gabe, we talked a little bit about it with T2. I find this digital 4K 3D isn't as good as the old school film 3D, like the 3D in something like T2 3D. It came out at you. It did everything you wanted a theme park 3D attraction to do, whereas I think now the 4K stuff, it's more about depth rather than... What's the opposite?
I completely 100% agree.
Yeah, it doesn't come out at you anymore. So it doesn't
feel like it's in your face.
No. So even in sections of like Spider-Man and Transformers, it doesn't do what it needs to do like the old one used to do.
I feel a lot better about Spider-Man than I do Transformers, and I think that's just because Spider-Man in general is a better ride, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's a much longer conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird one because I love Spider-Man. I agree. I think Spider-Man is the better attraction, but I enjoy Transformers more, which is a weird thing to say. Yeah,
but you have an emotional connection from your childhood with Transformers as well.
Not for those films.
Well, no, that's very true.
Because they are awful. I have no emotional connection. I have an emotional connection to those films, but it is not good.
And it's anger. It's anger. Hatred and anger is the emotion.
So no, it's not that. I find Transformers, it's action packed from the word go, whereas I find Spider-Man
stop.
It's a better attraction.
Yeah, it's scene to scene.
But I don't know. I just enjoy Transformers more, which is a weird thing to say. Sorry.
It's not weird. It's your opinion.
Yeah,
might be wrong, but it's your opinion.
Spider-Man in particular, for me, was the one attraction that if I missed it, I would not be able to forgive myself, because growing up and watching, videos of Orlando and Universal Orlando, Spider-Man was one of those things that felt so unattainable. And knowing that I had the opportunity to ride something that I knew growing up I wanted to ride so bad, it was really, really emotional for me. And having gone on it, I went on it, and I just I was in the same kind of space as you, where I was like, all I could really say was like, oh my God, I can't believe I finally got to ride it. Oh my God, I finally got to ride it. Oh my God. And we got off the ride and we looked at our picture, and the picture was kind of messed up, and I was really sad.
My head was blocked because we were in the back row.
We were in the back row. It was kind of messed up. And the guy was like, how long is the line right now? And he didn't know we had Express, but he's like, how long the line? I was like, I think it's about like 50 minutes right now. And he goes, wow, follow me. And he pulls us through the exit to go in the front row to make sure our picture came out clear.
Wow.
And as he was leaving, I started to cry. And Nikki looked at me and she goes, she's like, are you crying because of good customer service? And I'm like, no, I'm crying because this ride is amazing. And I finally got to ride it, and now I get to ride it again.
Yeah.
Like right away.
Front row.
Like I feel the customer service that we experienced over our 2 days at Universal, blew anything we've experienced at Disney out of the water.
Yeah. And you're comparing that to Disneyland.
Nice.
Excuse me?
Huh?
Do you say you're comparing that to the customer service you've had at Disneyland or Disney World?
I'd say both.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that Disney World and Disneyland have good customer service. It's not saying that it's bad.
No.
It's good.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever come across somebody at Walt Disney World or Disneyland who have gone out of their way as many times as Universal Orlando employees had done in our short trip.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone to Disneyland our entire lives. We went to Walt Disney World for a week. In the 3 days that we were at Universal Orlando Resort, we had more people go out of their way and do things for us than we've ever experienced anywhere else.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear.
And I don't know if I explained to you guys, but our planning of this trip was horrendous, which stinks because the phone people are not a reflection at all of what the resort is and how good it is and how good those people are. I feel like they need to get rid of the people who are on those phones because I had a horrendous time planning this thing.
I think the thing is now with you talk about the team members versus the cast members, I think Disney have nickel and dimed their cast members so much now that it's not... To work there isn't the draw that it used to be. You used to find that Disney World cast members were there because it was an honor.
Prestige.
It was somewhere people dreamed of working. And now I think it still is to a certain extent, but not as much as it was. And then I think once the Wizarding World opened, it's like how many Potter nerds you got that went, if that is my perfect job, I need to be a fake wizard in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And then people realized how good the rest of the park was. And now people want to work there like those Disney people wanted to work at Disney World. And
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, and I think they're charging their team members to do the things that Disney used to allow their cast members to do that I don't think they can as much now.
Not as much. I mean, we've had a few, what they call magical moments. Like when we were on our honeymoon, this older gentleman who worked in one of the shops gave us like those bride and groom pins
for free.
Yeah, for free. So I mean, it does happen still.
We've had some lovely ones
we went
ourselves.
we went out 2013, and it was our 13th wedding anniversary.
Seriously, that's why we got married in 2000. So you'd never forget the year.
We were sat watching the Dapper Dans on Main Street,
fabulous.
And guess who got pulled up by the Dapper Dans to sing with them? Yes, that would be me.
Yes, I got serenaded.
So embarrassed.
That was brilliant. What a memory.
It was awesome, but I was just like, there's loads of people on Main Street watching me now make a total tit of myself.
You're still red.
Yes. But little things like when Jade dropped her Mickey ears lollipop, and one of the cast members, come on, let's go and make this right, took her straight into the shop.
Yeah, and got her some more.
But gave her a whole bunch of them instead of just one.
Aww.
And said, share them out, share the happiness. And
anyway, we're not talking about this.
No, I know, but
No,
yeah.
but that's the thing you remember. It both works.
But like that thing with you guys there, he didn't need to put you straight on that ride again just because your picture was messed up. You wouldn't have complained if he hadn't have done it. But the fact that he did, it's like, wow, he didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So that was a very big thing for me, is having that moment. Yeah. It was really emotional because that was the one ride for me. That was the one for me. And it was fantastic having that moment for sure.
It's funny, we've talked about on the show quite a bit, with all this wrangling going on with the Marvel contract with Disney and Universal. It'll be interesting to see if it ever does revert back to Disney, what they will do if they ever put a Spider-Man ride in, because the bar has been set as far as a Spider-Man attraction so high that anything Disney do has to be nothing short of unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, did you see that Disney released some, I guess it's like blueprints or like plans for a Spider-Man attraction already?
No.
It looks like I'm gonna describe this extremely crudely, so I apologize. But it looks like a big hanging arm with seats at the bottom of it, and it has shoulder restraints. So it almost looks like it's supposed to recreate the feeling of like swinging on a web back and forth between like something.
Forbidden Journey.
Oh, like a
little bit, but it's not. It's like a Kuka arm, except the opposite way around. So you're hanging down instead of the Kuka arm being underneath.
Yeah,
above you. It almost looks like that. So there's pictures out there of that exist, so you could go check that out. But that supposedly is the Spider-Man attraction blueprints.
Interesting, because you look at what they did with Iron Man. It's like, we're just going to take Star Tours and make it Iron Man. It's like, is that the best you can do?
Someone's like, I have a brilliant idea, and they just got some spray cans and set it on the table, and they're like, brilliant, and then they just start spraying.
So like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Just throwing a whole bunch of crap on it. But Guardians of the Galaxy is super fun, though.
It does look really good. Yeah, we've watched the ride through of it, and it does actually look really cool, but I think
fantastic.
It's fantastic. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, it is, yes. We get off on these tangents.
It happens.
Yeah.
let's very briefly move into Hogsmeade, obviously, because we've still got a little bit left to talk about, which I'm quite interested in your opinion of. But you have Hogsmeade at Universal Studios Hollywood. How do they compare?
It was pretty much
they're carbon
the same
copies.
thing.
There's a few differences.
Very minor differences.
Yeah.
Ollivanders is on the opposite side.
Yes.
So on
Right.
ours, Ollivanders is on the left instead of the right.
Okay.
Other than that, like pretty much literally everything is a carbon copy, especially with Dragon Challenge gone at this point.
Yeah.
It is literally a carbon copy. And then we don't have a snowman.
Yeah.
Aw.
Gabe was so mad that
I don't have a fucking snowman.
that
This is
Florida got a
perfect.
snowman.
It's probably because all the kids always climb on it, even though
we
it
would
says,
come-
please do not climb
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Trying to snap the
Ugh,
twigs off it.
I hate kids.
Also, the Florida Hogsmeade just has a better overall look because there's nothing in the sightlines.
Yes.
Yeah, our sightlines are kind of crap.
We have office buildings and stuff that you can see. It takes you out of the moment.
You can see
Yeah.
our show building pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, but that just happens to be where it is, and that kind
Yeah.
of sucks. But
It is what it is.
I mean, that's
isn't it?
stuff I can overlook.
And the ride's pretty much the same then. Forbidden Journey is that.
Yeah, except it seemed like we weren't going to go on it because we're like, oh, we have it. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter.
But I keep saying you guys, but you're not actually there.
Yeah.
But Florida has a picture, so we're like, oh, we'll get the picture.
So the one thing we did notice about the attraction was that it felt old. Like, because the screens didn't feel as crisp
Yeah,
as
not.
ours do. They didn't feel as saturated as ours did.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of parts where our ride vehicle would like tilt, and we were seeing things that you're not supposed to see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like catwalks and like
want to ride
behind the
that
scenes stuff. And it was just very, very noticeable. And that
Yeah.
was a little bit odd to me.
It's really funny. Like, we went on specifically for the picture, and both our faces are kind of just deadpan.
Derby.
Yeah, we're just like we got bored.
We were like looking off in the distance,
Yeah.
like not paying attention at all. But yeah, so I mean, other than that, I mean, the ride didn't lessen in entertainment value at
Yeah.
all. Like, it was still incredible. It's still so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just those small things that we noticed. And you said there was a hole in a couple of the screens, didn't you?
Wow.
Oh yeah, there was one screen with like the middle was weird.
Yeah, like somebody had thrown something at it or something.
Ugh.
That wouldn't surprise
I
me.
think the problem is with Forbidden Journey. I know they took it down very recently for about a week, but it's like it is the signature attraction of that park. And how do you take that down at any point during the year? Because people will go crazy. It's like the reason, going back into Disney, it's the reason why the Haunted Mansion doesn't get the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay, because people will complain that this is my one and only trip to Orlando and I'm not getting to ride the Haunted Mansion.
People
Yeah.
just complain full stop.
I think if I would be annoyed if we went to Florida for 2 weeks and Forbidden Journey was down for the entire time we were there.
Just do it little by little every night. Replace one screen, replace another
Yeah.
screen. Do the projectors. Just piecemeal it. You don't have to do like a whole two week refurb. Just do little pieces every time, and so that at least it gets better and better with everything that you're putting into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that we noticed that when we were out 2 years ago, the screens are looking very blurry, and people complain they get sick on it. And as a rule, I don't, but I did last time, and I think it's because those screens have got quite grainy now.
Can I admit
Yeah.
something? The last time we rode it, I didn't actually watch the screens. I was leaning out and watching the Kukaram system and all of that. I was just really enjoying watching it.
That's fun to do too.
That is fun to
Absolutely.
do. It's really fun to do.
Going, Christ, we're a bit high here. Yeah, that was a shock.
One thing that is really different, just from an operational standpoint, than Hollywood, is that in Orlando, they're allowed to help push down if you need help pushing down on those restraints.
All right.
They'll do it. The lady out front was like, I worked on Dragon Challenge. My boss told me to just get people in the ride. Like, so we just shove it down.
Ooh.
So they are allowed to help. In Hollywood, they're like, sorry, we can't really help other than a small push. You have to have somebody from your team, from your team, from your group, push down for you. So we were so used to that. So for me, like, I got in and it was fine, but I was like, hey, Nikki, could you just help me out? I just want a couple more clicks so that I'm a little bit more snug.
Yeah.
And I sat down, I threw it down, and I was like, hey, just a couple clicks. And Nikki's so used to the other one that she pushed it so hard they went, and it was like 7 clicks. And I'm like, I'm good. I can can barely breathe, but I'm good. It's gonna be fun.
You weren't that type.
And the lady was like, "You're not supposed to do that," and you got upset because she wagged her finger at you essentially.
Well, it's like, okay, you're the same company. At least have the same rules in both your parks. Because like over there, like they tell you, like someone from your party can push down, but we cannot. And then I get in trouble for it in Florida.
That's really strange, though, isn't it? I wonder if it's something to do with, I don't know, people suing.
I don't know.
Maybe state laws.
Maybe, yeah.
That's the only thing I think of is state laws.
Maybe, or
safety laws.
Just a capacity thing in Orlando. It's just like, look, we get way more people coming through. They just got to get them on and get them through.
Yeah.
Well, if we get more people coming through, we can afford any
lawsuits.
Any lawsuits that
Broken
come through.
ribs.
Yeah. What's a broken rib between friends?
Well, we'll know when the quarterly injury bill comes through.
Yes, that's always a fun
I haven't
read.
seen it on there. They've actually just come out. I was reading it the other day. There's nothing particularly decent on this year. Right, moving on, because I looked and we had 20 minutes left 20 minutes ago, obviously. And I thought, we've got plenty of time, and now we're at an hour, so right. But we definitely want to talk about this. Obviously, like you've already mentioned that you got to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year.
Yes.
And you visit the one in Hollywood fairly regularly?
Every year.
Every year. Well, there you go then.
We're going tonight.
We're going tonight.
I'm not happy about that, because I'm not, but there you go. So, first off, what did you think of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, and then how does it compare to Hollywood's?
It was so refreshing and so different that we had an absolute blast. I absolutely loved seeing the differences in maze design compared to like what we're used to at our Hollywood, and seeing the different kind of scares and how different they could be. And I personally believe that this year in particular, it is leaps and bounds better than what we have at the moment. Of course, there are minor details that I'm like, oh, okay, well, I wish they had this in Orlando that they have in Hollywood. But overall, as an event, Universal Studios Florida's Halloween Horror Nights is significantly better, in my opinion, than Hollywood's. Not sure if that's because of size or how much what they get to play with, or how much money they have, but I like it so much more as an event, more than ours.
I agree, and I think refreshing is the best word to use. Like, it just, I feel like Hollywood has gotten so...
It's too Hollywood.
It's gotten too clinical in their scares. It's like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. It's almost predictable. And, like, I feel like in Florida, they just used so many different ways to scare and to distract, and it was just so refreshing is the best word to use.
And the only way that I could really explain it, at least from our perspective, and hopefully it makes sense to you guys, is that at least in Hollywood, like you said, it feels very clinical. It becomes predictable at a point. What was nice is that Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando had the style and the money and the sets to look incredible, and they did have those types of scares which worked, but they also had this very organic type of scares that would happen that you don't necessarily find at our Halloween Horror Nights, that you'll find at a smaller place like a Not Scary Farm or a Hallow Scream, and they mixed the two together, and that's what I really felt like that with the mazes, and particularly the scare zones.
Yeah,
because our scare zones, I think, are they take themselves very seriously, but the ones in Halloween Horror Nights Orlando they had a type of fun atmosphere to them as well.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be funny. They were supposed to be goofy. They were supposed to be scary. And I loved the mix of this organic Hollywood feel instead of just this straight horror. It's supposed to be super scary, and these are the only types of scares that we do.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do anything else. And the actors had a lot more free reign, which I loved.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose one of the biggest things for you guys going to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, because obviously when you go to Hollywood, the all based on IPs now, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there have been years in the past where they had their own original haunted houses.
The last one had to have been like 3 or 4 years ago. It was El Cucuy.
Was it El Cucuy or was
Yeah.
it La Llorona?
La Llorona was
Llorona,
like 5 years ago.
Yeah, one of those two. But I mean, those, like, in my opinion, over the years of going, my favorite have been the originals that they've done, because they're incredible. And they have scares that are different than what they have in these IP houses. I mean, I do enjoy them to a certain extent, but I love to see them stretch the boundaries of their imagination with these original houses, in which some of my favorite in Orlando were the original houses.
Yeah,
I'm wearing the shirt right now.
Yeah, that's it. You walk into an event like Hollywood this year with a preconceived idea of what every house is going to be, because you're aware of Ash versus Evil Dead. You know what American Horror Story is. You know what The Shining is. Yet you walk into Orlando, what's Scarecrow the Reaping? What's Dead Waters? What's the Hive? You have an idea of what they're going to be because of the press material, but to walk into that house not really knowing what you're going to come up against must be a completely different experience.
I was a lot more scared walking into the original houses than I was into the IP houses.
Oh, yeah.
And to a certain extent, I think they were much better.
Yeah.
It seems to be that this year they really have elevated those original houses. They seem to be the best they've done for quite a while. Scarecrow and
Dead Waters.
We love Dead Waters.
The Hive.
Yeah.
Hive is the one I'm hearing that a lot of people, they're either, but then from what I've heard, that was supposed to be an IP house this year.
Huh, I wonder which one.
The Conjuring.
Really? I don't see that.
Apparently, if you walk through it, you can kind of see hints and bits at it of what it would have been.
Maybe, like, I could see a lot of those scenes of The Conjuring where they're, like, under the house. I could see that a little bit. But none of, like, the scenes in the when the family's interacting and, like, ghost stuff happens to the family, I don't really see that. But I do see a lot of the underground part, for sure. The one that I personally like The Hive a lot. The Fallen was the one for me that kind of didn't really hit on all cylinders. Yeah. I think it was mainly because we just had a bad timing of going through, because as we all know, like, these mazes are all about timing.
Yep.
If you hit the bad timing, then you just hit the bad timing.
Yep.
And we were just missing a lot of the things. The bungee guy was super cool because we have bungee guys here, but most of the time they'll jump all the way out and, like, get in your face. This guy was literally just falling on top of you and then coming back up, which was really cool.
That was really cool.
But The Fallen, I think, was the weak link, but we still had fun.
Yeah.
Which was because it was so different. The Hive was cool because they had a lot of these black lights, and the monster would come out into the black light and it would reflect off of their eyes and their teeth. And those kinds of scares were really fun. I think I got one of the worst scares in there the entire weekend. Oh, no, American Horror Story got me really bad. And then the second was this one, because I was walking through and my mind was just distracted. Usually, like, when I'm walking through, I'm analyzing and I don't get that scared. And I look at the door and I'm like, there's probably a person behind that door. And I keep walking, and there was a person behind that door, and it got me really bad. I, like, lifted my leg and I, like, protected myself.
But yeah, it must be interesting to go to both events to see, the same houses but taken on by a different creative team, to see, we're going to give you The Shine, and we're going to give you The Shine, and we're going to give you American Horror Story, and then to see how each team takes that property and what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of comes at it from a different direction to see what they take out of it.
Yeah.
I think The Shining was the biggest example of, like, how extremely different they both took it. And I think Gabe feels the same way, but we loved Orlando's Shining.
Don't speak for me. I agree.
Yeah, we loved Orlando's Shining so much.
We came out of that maze
grins on our face
with our jaws dropped.
Yeah.
And I these were the words that came out of my mouth, like, why don't we have this?
Yeah.
I so wanted to experience that one.
Yeah.
There were parts of ours in Hollywood that I appreciated and that I liked. But as an overall experience, I think Orlando did a much better job of translating from the movie to an actual set and real life horrors. One of the big major differences being, like, we have these full Jack Torrance masks. Over there, they just kind of had, like, the bald cap, which allowed them to kind of really emote a lot more and mouth to the words that they had. They're like, Danny boy.
Yeah.
Like, I just walking through that, like, in my head, I remembered the guy's facial expressions and how he was saying it and how he was looking at everybody. And I thought that was fantastic.
And in this twisted way, you felt like you were there, like, in the movie way more.
Yes.
Like, the elevator, with the blood coming out of it, the hallways, like the scene with the bar, I think was my favorite.
God, that was so
oh my!
We were
it blew
just
our
so
minds.
impressed.
Yeah.
Just so impressed.
It's so bizarre though that the actual studio park doesn't do a better job at using those IPs than the carbon copy park that's just a theme park.
I think this year in general, I feel like it suffered because John Murdy was not in Los Angeles for a large portion of time.
Right.
He was in Ireland, and I feel like his absence can really be felt this year because there doesn't feel like a lot of direction because he's creative director. And I think that's why ours don't feel as cohesive as they should be feeling. And there's a lot of projection in ours, and I don't know. And it feels just like this year was a very big recycled year.
Yeah.
Like everything that we're seeing, I've seen before. And usually when you see props that have been used, whoop-de-doo. Like, that's cool. I remember that. But it just was, it's in everything. So, I mean, that's the only issue that I'm having with that.
Yeah, because we're looking at it from a similar point of view in Orlando, that Mike Aiello's hands aren't on it as much as they were.
Yeah.
And it seems to be quite, if you're into Halloween Horror Nights, it seems to be quite noticeable. I know Darren, being our Horror Nights expert, he feels it as an overall event. It's individual parts seem to be fairly well received, but as an event overall, it doesn't seem to have that sort of theme and cohesion that it's had in recent years. I mean, our most recent experience was 25, and it was phenomenal.
Oh, it was amazing.
I think it was just it elevated because the fact we were there, which certainly helped.
Yes.
But obviously covering it as much as we have done on the podcast for the last 6 years, to go out and experience a real sort of homage to Halloween Horror Nights, sort of reliving the past 25 years, it was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, from the outside looking in this year, it does seem to be that we looked at it and went, as far as the houses go this year, or mazes, whatever, I always find that strange. They seem to be houses in Orlando, mazes in Hollywood.
Yeah.
When they're not mazes anyway, but there seems to be a really strong lineup, because as a rule, you can pick out before you go, that house is going to be really strong, that one not so much. I think this year, barring maybe one or two, they all seem to be fairly well received. There isn't one or two that are really standing out, and there isn't a couple that are really like, they're absolute garbage. It all seems to be on a fairly decent standard this year.
Yeah. Which is nice. I feel like the only thing that I've noticed about the event as a whole is that it felt like maybe the scare zones got a little left behind just a little bit.
Also, when we went the first 2 hours, were completely rained out.
We forgot to mention any of that.
Yeah.
So the streets have been dead, pardon the pun.
Yeah, they were dead. But we did like the Scare Actor Dining experience, which
cool.
we thought was phenomenal.
That was well worth it.
And when we were done eating and done taking our pictures, we're talking to the team members at the door, and we just start hearing really loud thunder and a lot of noise, and we're like, uh-oh. And we look outside, and it's just starting to come down. So we make the decision to bolt for the NBC store, buy some ponchos, and by that time, streets are flooded, flooded. And I'm wearing Converse. Nikki's wearing like athletic sandals.
I only wear athletic sandals to Florida because your feet dry like instantly once it stops raining.
And so we're standing in our ponchos outside. I'm standing on the sidewalk, looking at like half a foot of water, and I say, F it, and I just step in it, and I just like kicking the water everywhere. I'm like, I'm in Orlando for once. I'm gonna go.
Well, because with the dinner too, we get to go on a few things, before the park opens. So we did like 2 mazes or houses before before it even opened.
Yeah,
and then we knocked out so many so quickly because no one else wanted to go out in the rain.
We braved it. The only downside is that I didn't get to take pictures with my nice camera, which kind of sucked. But I mean, other than that, we braved the rain and we went through a lot of the houses, and the scare zones were kind of empty, which is true.
Yeah, they didn't. The scare zones really didn't come alive till more than halfway through the night.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw you under the bus.
Oh, under the bus?
Nikki, top 3 houses, mazes.
We have the maps sitting right here, so that's helpful.
The Shining, Deadwater, and what was the Scarecrow one called?
It's called Scarecrow the Reaping.
Scarecrow the Reaping. Those are my favorites.
Go on then, Gabe, same.
I would have to say top 3 would definitely be The Shining, Scarecrow, The Reaping, and Deadwater. Did you just say the same 3?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, then we're definitely, in the same thing there. One thing that I liked this Blumhouse. We haven't done our Blumhouse yet. We're going to be doing it tonight. But the one thing is that it was just so loud. Like it just, we walked out. I was like, that was like Sound the Maze.
Right.
It was very loud.
Very loud.
I think the biggest complaint I've heard about that one is it's like The Purge doesn't really need to be in there, and Sinister doesn't really need to be in there. It's pretty much 90% Insidious.
That's correct.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I also
very
heard
correct.
that the Purge section wasn't originally supposed to be the Purge section. It was supposed to be on Ouija.
Ah,
Oh.
yes.
I can see that because it literally is just a house, like interior of a house. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
That's it. Is that it? You've run out of steam.
And at the end,
At the end.
just want to wrap it up, give you sort of overall thoughts of your
Yeah.
trip to Universal Orlando Resort.
Honestly, like I can't wait to do it again. I
Yeah,
cannot
excellent.
wait to go back and spend time in the areas that we didn't get to spend time in and kind of just explore, because we did everything in a whirlwind trip. You know, we did the Hulk,
Yeah.
we did Spider-Man, we did Hogsmeade, Diagon, we did all this stuff. I want to have time to really explore
Yeah.
Islands of Adventure. That
Yeah.
is my next thing I want to do. I want to take time.
Yeah, Islands is a park that you need to kind of take a step back from the rides a little bit at time and just enjoy the park.
Yeah. Oh, when you do that, the details that you start to see, unbelievable.
Thing
Yeah.
we didn't
Yeah.
talk about quickly.
Yeah.
Did you ride Skull Island?
We did.
Yes, we did.
What did you think?
It's mostly the same thing that we have
Oh,
in
yeah,
our
forget
tram
you've got-
tour
yeah.
here, like the actual screen part. It's a bit different, but I just loved seeing the giant animatronic Kong.
It was so nice to see that again after
Yeah.
having ours gone for so many years.
I
And it's
know.
not the same, but it's just nice to see something on that big of a scale again.
Yeah, it
Because
just
I
made me
miss
grin.
ours a lot.
I know, ours burned.
I was burned
Oh
to a crisp.
no! But this beautiful, like updated live animatronic was just it was amazing.
And that vehicle system is just really impressive
Yes.
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
That vehicle system is extremely impressive. So I had a lot of fun doing that. It's funny, we were on that, and you know they have the big flames that are on the either side, on the right and
Yeah.
the left when you go in. Nikki's like, Orlando's the one place that I'm not really happy when there's fire because it's already really hot.
I love what they've done with that entrance. You know, they've made the whole facade of that ride's just such a grand
Oh, it is.
thing. It's like, oh my god, I really am
It's a
on
photo
Skull
op.
Island.
It's
Yeah.
a photo
It
op
really
in and
is.
of
It's
itself. It's
stunning.
incredible. And then the line is really fun. Because we had Express, we bypassed the scare actors, we bypassed the animatronic, and we went on it. But when we were left, I was like, hey, to a team member, I was like, hey, do you mind if we just go in and take a photo of that animatronic real quick? Because we want to take a second to look at it and watch it. So we got a chance to kind of just stand there and watch for a while,
Oh, wow.
so that at least we got that experience
Cool.
instead of having skipped it all.
Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome.
One day we'll see it.
Yes,
One day.
we've talked about it enough. I just need to
No.
ride it now.
I feel like we're going to this thing
Oh,
again.
yeah, I've watched it on YouTube. I've talked to the guy who created it. We've talked on the show, and it's like I don't need to ride it now.
So I guess that's it. I guess we've talked it
Well,
all.
we haven't
and-
talked it all. I'm
Well,
sure
you know, we've
really,
talked all
if
about
we'd
this
had
show.
all the time,
Oh, yes.
we probably could have talked about it for like 4 years. But
Yeah.
Pretty much.
that's only when everyone else would want to listen to us talk about it for 4
No,
years.
we'd like to talk about it for 4 years. But so it's been brilliant.
It's been awesome.
I've really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. So before we wrap up the show, do you guys want to tell us and tell the listeners, of course, where they can find you and listen to you?
Yeah,
etc.?
sure. You can find us everywhere at Theme Park Duo. Just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
And then also on iTunes, if you go to iTunes, you can find our podcast where we talk about a lot of the West Coast stuff. And if you just go to iTunes, type in Theme Park Duo or Theme Park, you'll find our show. It's a nice little blue logo. And we're on Google Play and a lot of other popular podcast apps. So we're all over the place. You can look for Ugly Mugs. You'll find us.
So many thanks to Gabe and Nikki for coming and being on
Yes, thank you.
our little show. And yes, we hope to catch up with you again. It should be nice.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much for having us.
No,
It
it's
was a
been
blast.
cool.
It's been an absolute blast, you're right. And I suppose for Lee, and for myself, this has been the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Well, that wraps up another Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Thanks for listening. Between shows, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. It really helps. But if you're not an Apple user, you can find us on Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, or wherever great podcasts are found. Head over to our blog at uuopodcast.com for show notes, articles, and more. You can get in touch with us by emailing podcast@uuopodcast.com or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Just search UUO Podcast. And if you're planning a trip to Universal Orlando or Walt Disney World, please check out our sponsors by going to mouseandmuggle.com to book your next trip. Well, that's a wrap. See you next week.